going on in the world. A lot of different folks won. The folks that we like to win, I would imagine, I hope. Lots of stuff going on in the shop and some topics to talk about, all in What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Next. Welcome back to the McGolf Shop. Jim McCleary here, 6-time top 100 best club fitter with Golf Digest and the last International Club Maker of the Year with the PCS. There's a lot going on out there. Number one, let's talk about some non-golf, right? Queen Elizabeth, she passed. It's been on the news. It's been taking over, and it's a sad passing to be sure. Quite the leader of our modern time. And thoughts and prayers out to the family, like millions of other people are passing along. The other one, 9/11, right? 9/11 was just yesterday, and lots of memories are being ginned up about that. And again, to all those that were involved in 9/11, again, thoughts and prayers with you guys as well. And a story that I'd like to pass along. When I went my first trip to Maryland, I think I may have told you guys, but on the way back from Baltimore, going back on the plane, of course, I've got my big travel bag and I'm dragging it, and this lady in a wheelchair says, "So you've been golfing?" And I was, the first thing that came to mind was the blue collar comedy tour. With the, "Oh, I see you got a flat tire." Nope, the other three blew right up, and but I couldn't come up with a response. I said, "Yeah, I've been getting around there today." She goes, "Oh, okay." Well, we get everything loaded, and she sits across from me. Come to find out, she was one of the responders from 9/11, and she said she had 9/11 lung. I had no idea what she meant, and apparently all the smoke got in there, and it just never, or the ash and whatnot, never got out. And she was on on oxygen. Now, she was 91, 92 years old and still getting after it. Turns out she was she was a mortician, not a mortician, but she was in that line. And she was part of an emergency response clan from New Mexico. I'm like, "What's a New Mexico person doing there?" And it says, "Well, it's part of the plan." And she helped several fire departments out with, dealing with the tragic loss that was happening, and dealing and setting up a triage area. So it was a great ride to, talk to her about that. So that was very, very cool as well. Again, from the golf side of things, let me put this up here. Ascension Charity Classic, PGA Tour champions. Patrick Harrington is at it again, right? Third time winning, and won by a stroke. And Steve Stricker came in third. Yang came in second. So not too bad there, right? The BMW PGA, right? We know Shane Lowry won that one. That was he was a fan favorite, I'm sure, with Jon Rahm in second, and tying with Jon Rahm was Rory McIlroy. Now there's one more. Let's see. Here we go. Nope, not that one. There we go. Kroger Queen City, Ewing. I think her name is Amanda, or Ann Ewing. Anyway, she came in at -22, shooting a -6. I got to see the end of that. She played some really, really solid golf to get where she was, to get to her win. She started off, flat line, and all of a sudden went birdie, 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 birdie in order to secure the win. And there were some people chasing her, so it was a good round. So congratulations to all the winners, right? That just all kinds of, good golf being played. Even locally, right? If you guys are out there and the local high schoolers around here, it's golf season. And so you get to see them all, right? The guys that just took up the game that can't break 50, and then the guys that have been golfing since they were knee high to a blade of grass and are busting par. It's really neat to see the massive contrast of what's going on out there. And that's the beauty of it, right? And that'll take us into the topic. And before we get to the topic, right now, like and subscribe, and hit that bell down there for the notifications if you're watching on YouTube. If you're watching on Facebook, I believe there's a like somewhere out there. I'm not real familiar with it. So if you would take care of that, and that way this channel gets rated a little bit higher, and we get to help others scores go low. All right, so on to the topic. Uh, the difference in styles of play, or the difference in the beginning golfer versus the avid golfer, or even the better golfer. Might even go as far as calling them elite golfers. All right, and the reason why I say that is in our fittings this weekend, we saw a span of that, and it was funny because I did a fitting for a beginning golfer, and this guy's as strong as they come. Uh, Nice easy swing, and he's bucking up against X-Flex territory, just getting started. But he had no idea how to control it. So during the fitting, I worked with him, and because he was spinning out and he couldn't figure out why he was inconsistent. And I was like, well, like most beginners, you don't know some of the basics, stance, grip, alignment, and that's all we covered was some of the basics, and it was more than enough to straighten him out. And once we got him into a set of irons, which ended up being the Callaway Apex with some stiff, with the rifle stiffs, that the he started hitting it pretty good. Well, he came back for a driver fitting. It's been a month or two, I'm going to say into the 2 month range. And he came back and he says, those irons has changed the way that he plays golf. Now he's into the strategic end of it, right? Where's course management come into play, which is very important to go low. Now we got him in the driver. Of course, everybody wants to wail on the driver. And we once he started spinning out yet again. And I said, you got to just keep your stance, all the basics, and relax, right? I don't mean slow, just relax. When he did that, he crested 110 a couple of times. However, and this is part of the fitting, is that his release was a little bit early. So something that would have been, if you just measured his swing speed, had him an X flex, he'd probably be slicing it because the shaft wouldn't have been working nearly as hard, and it would have flared open still because he would have released it early, and the shaft would have not worked, and it would have come to the open. I hope that sounds right. So, but we did give him a very stout, stiff shaft, which ended up being a Aldila Rogue 130 in the S Flex, and those things are brutally stiff and almost into the X. And he started hitting it, and he's piping it, and with the expectation of flying 290. So, and once we put a different grip on, had to cut it down a little bit and put a different grip on him and do a little adjustment, and he was ready to go. Which takes me to the next part is every time you go to a fitting, it's not necessary to get new equipment. I don't know how many people are going to say that, but that's the reason why part of our fitting is specking out your original equipment and to see whether or not you're close, or maybe a small tweak, or it could be as much as a shaft replacement. It could be. And in this particular instance, this guy basically wildly guessed correctly. And he just said we just needed to shorten him down, do an adjustment on the adjustability, put a bigger grip on it, and now he's striping it. And then we went back and tried a hybrid. Fairway Woods didn't work very well for him, but he crunched a hybrid. And he's like, well, how many do I need? I said, dude, if you're hitting it that far, you really don't need too many. And maybe one, and let's figure out where your top iron's at and where your driver's at, and put something in the middle, and then you can, take some off, put some on, that kind of thing. And because at the distances he was hitting, it's not going to be a widely used club, but it will be used. And so we settled on a 4 hybrid, I believe, and that'll get him where he needs to be. So that's kind of the topic right now. That took me all the way through a guy that hits very well, but there was also I had a low handicapper in here as well, and when you go from somebody that's beginning golfing to somebody that is a higher end golfer or a low handicap golfer, the terminology changes, right? And the low handicap golfers, you hear about, well, I didn't hit my window, I just wasn't feeling the swing. You very rarely hear about mechanics, or I didn't hit my spot. You hear stuff more about feel or adjustments or placements versus my grip wasn't right, I wasn't standing right, my head wasn't up, and all these mechanical thoughts that you get from somebody that's just getting started. And there's other changes in between because there's also a course management phase in the middle, which is basically where I'm at. And and you get to hear this, and when you hear it, you can kind of almost pick out where some people are at. So there's that. All righty. So before again, the next start is uh, we have a shipment now of the McGolf divot tools. I got only three of the many colors. We have a red one as well. The McDivot tool. It's a switch. It's a Pitch Fix, made by Pitch Fix, and they are obviously a switchblade type where it gets out like that. Has a ball mark, which is actually kind of substantial. It's kind of nice. And then for everybody that wants to adjust their score, it comes with a it comes with a pencil sharpener. I've been actually from a testing phase. I've been using one for almost 2 years now, and the same one is working just fine. On the other end of it is Mrs. McGolf got her order in, and we now have some club glove towels. Club glove towels, and we have I got an itch. Okay, obviously we have red, and then we've got this is a black. We also or a blue. I'm sorry, navy blue. We do have a black, and I don't know if you can see this, but it's camo. Joke there. Uh, they all have the slot in the middle, so you don't have any of those what do you call them, hooks or the little spring-loaded clips, so that something to break or to dig in your back if you're a carry person, it just hangs over. I got these because I saw them on tour. People will dunk half of it in water and squeeze it out, and that was what they'll use to clean the towel or clean the club and wash your hand or whatever, and the other side's to dry it off. So it's a very useful towel, very aggressive, right? Very aggressive towel. All right, so if you're looking for something like that, McGolf Shop at roadrunner.com or clubmaker at mcgolf.net. Okay, back up to a few other things, then we'll get into some questions. We went to Ocean City, Maryland over the Labor Day weekend. As you guys, I told you that our dog was on the 18th fairway on the way in, and she has recovered in spades. Apparently, she overheard us. And Mrs. McGolf wasn't going to let her get out of her sight, so we found a dog-friendly place on the ocean, and going all up and down the coast, Ocean City it was. And so we went. And for Charlie, this is Belvini American Oak. We're going to try it out first time. Anyway, and so we started looking at some golf courses, and Bob and Penny were going with us. It is always a good time when they come with. And I was looking, like most folks do, you go looking around for the golf courses, and I came across this platinum package, and the platinum package allowed us to go to the Lighthouse Sound, which is this guy. I don't know if you can. There we go. Man, there we go, Lighthouse Sound. I got this one because I was just interested in the fact I had a divot tool with a bottle opener and another, ball marker. Lighthouse Sound, Rum Point, and War Admiral. And the War Admiral is part of Glen Riddle, which is a 2-course setup. And it's War Admiral on one side and the not War Admiral, but the Man of Wars, and they're related to horses because the property used to be a horse farm. And the Man of War is the more resorty type side. Man of War a little more difficult, and that's how it panned out. Both Bob and I struggled mightily on that for no other reason than if you don't hit quality shots, you don't get quality scores. I mean, that's just what it came right down to. We weren't missing too bad one way or another. We just couldn't get the doggone ball up onto the green. And I think we both kind of figured it out later into the round, which was by then too late. I liked the layout. It was a little tight, but I did like the layout. The greens rolled fine. The tee boxes were in great shape. I mean, it was just a nice round. Had a ton of bridges to cross, and I have one, but I'm going to show it to you here in a second. The second round was at Rum Point, and Rum Point is a link style course that it continually rates in the top 5 courses for Maryland, and it's a public course, which is something saying something. And it was just the people there were super nice. The layout was exactly what you think a links course would be, except for 2 or 3 holes where there were some trees. But it goes out and it goes around. It comes into some water, and you're around the water line. And we'll show you some of that here in a moment. And well, let's get started. So when we got in there, I get to do the MTV Cribs thing. There was the bedroom. That was a nice little bedroom, and you get to see we were looking out on Assawoman Bay. Yes, Assawoman Bay. And there's a little Assawoman Bay, which made this one the big Assawoman Bay. Although we only can say that in joking, I'm told. All right, once you get outside that room, it looks a lot like that. I put that in there because I just thought that was a really cool picture. And it's Assawoman Bay onto the piers, and you get to see the body of water. All righty, and there it is during the daylight. All righty. Right outside of it we had this across the street. That was interesting to hear all the whistles blowing and all the cars going. Anyway, all righty. So, Man of War. Here's Man of War. You can see there's undulation. There's a big old pit right here before going out into the green. Uh, Here's another one, kind of an opened up area. And that's kind of what we were seeing all day, right? And then we get into this is Rum Point, and this was a par 3 on the front 9. And it was all the par 3s were in this odd yardage distances, right? Normally not like 100, 125, 150, 160, 175, something like that. These are like 163 and things like that. It was really kind of unique that we get to see that. This was going on to the final stretch of the back 9. Again, you get to see the bridge that was going over there, and you get to see all the protection that the green had on its way. By the sand traps. The sand traps are taken pretty good care of, so you could hit out of them if truly necessary. All righty, so we had that one, and here's the tee box after getting onto the green. Here's the tee box, and then we're looking down a par 5 fairway right here, and what it does, it goes out to the right. And in a lot of cases, particularly at the Man of War, when somebody tells you that there's a forced carry, a lot of forced carries, you want to pay attention to that and start asking questions. I bet we had, I'm going to say, at least 4, maybe 5 forced carries that if you're playing the tips, you would have had to have carried it easily 230. All right, I mean carry it 230 before you got to the other side. We played up, and we still had 200-yard plus carry distances, and so you had to poke them out there. All right, and here's another. It's just I thought it was a good golf shot. It really is what that was. This is on the back 9 as we're getting ready to leave the link style course and get into the trees. Another par 3. And it had a big old waste bunker up on the front right. There's me and Bob. We're on the back 9 on this one. This lake had a hole going up both sides of it. Now on the other side, which was on the front, which was number 9 on the other side, and the other one I think was 18, to be honest. Was it? Yeah, it was. Anyway, my hero story of the day. We were out there on number 9, and it was a 380 something, and I used the 2 hybrid, and I just got a hold of every drop of that golf ball and that club, and I got it to roll out to 270. So it was a heck of a pop. Now, did all of them do that? No, but I can say I did at least once. All right. Here's our last one, and our last one was Lighthouse Sound, right? And this one, yeah, that's run point. Yep, Lighthouse Sound is where we're at here. We got up with a we got paired up with a couple from Manhattan, a very nice couple. The lady was just getting started and actually was golfing pretty well. Wasn't throwing it out there real far, but was keeping in front of her. And the husband he was struggling a little bit, but he got it pulled back around, so it was a good thing. So this is kind of our viewpoint. This is on the green, and we see all this water in the back. And we saw some of this because there was water just about everywhere. Yep, just about everywhere. And this is number 18 coming onto a plateau. That was amazing. I lived in Maryland for a while on the Bay side, and I never once considered Maryland to be mountainous. And we had the one rest stop on the way out of Maryland, and this is what we saw. We were on top of a mountain. We were way, way up there. Uh, that's something else. When you can take a picture above some trees, not bad, not bad at all. Alrighty. So as part of one of these courses, it has the world record longest golf cart bridge. And if you can bear with me for about 1 minute, you'll see. So that was one heck of a ride, and as you could see, we were dodging birds and whatnot. But the funny part about it, as we were riding it up there, you got this clickety clack, clickety clack, clickety clack, like you're on one of those old wooden roller coasters. That was what we were mentioning as we were going through. So very cool indeed. All right, last little bit. It was Sunday, and yes, we did do some stuff on the smoker. I got to break from golf and talk a little bit. And we did a pork butt and some smoked beans, and it turned into that when we were there. So not too bad. All right, stuff that was going on in the shop. I did a video on the some tailor-made blades that we put in those LA golf shafts. Well, the golfer that wanted those played them and did not like them very well and sent them to me to be reshafted yet again. And so again with the black and gold, it's a good look for a grip. I mean, particularly when you use the black and gold from the Dynamic Gold in the Tour Series, which is those guys. I mean, it matched up very, very well. So we did pretty good there. Let's see, is it this one? Yep, there they are. And put that together. So we got, he got a reshaft. And he actually came down to get him because he needed to play him. Another set where this was unique. You guys might like this one. A set of the Cobra Kings. Now, the thing with these is that that's not me jacking around with the color. These are actually copper coated. right? They were copper coated, so they look exactly like they look like in this picture. And it was pretty doggone cool. I have to tell you, it was very neat. And then we used the new CPX, which is starting to gain a little steam. And as you can see, there was we put some Modus shafts in there. There's an overall picture of them all. Alrighty. And then the last bit of it, we did uh, a Maryland guy, another Maryland guy. We're doing a lot of Maryland stuff lately. Sent some 223s, and as you can see, sent some BB&F ferrules, and again, LA golf shafts. But the kicker on this one is we use the Master Grip. I think that's what they're called, the Rue grips. And those root grips are sticky. I like the feel of those. If they were to keep like that and not get all kind of slickery, I guess you'd have to wipe them down. There is, and they do tell you in the little card that comes with it not to wipe it down with a solvent or anything. Just wipe it down with a wet towel. And that's what I did. As I just wiped them down with a paper towel. And man, oh man, were they sticky. So those are going back to Maryland, actually around the Queens Harbor area, and we should be good to go. Well, plus we already had, we got some, I got a setup on the rack of Callaways that I'm reshafting for that, and we're good, we're there. So that's all of us, that's all the news, that's all the things that we're doing. So let's go back and see what the questions are, all the way to the top. Let's go to the top. Here we go. Ray Farrell would like your thoughts on putting related to left eye dominant and right hand stroke. And is a zero offset better? Explain offset and differences of Hazel's putter. Hazel's thinks he's doing his honeydews now. Okay, so eye dominance. That's one thing. Some people may consider eye dominance a no brainer, or not a no brainer, a nothing burger. I think it does have something to play in how you see the line. Right now, not necessarily forward and back, but if I'm facing you like I'm doing right now, and the putt is this way, and I'm looking this way to the putt, how I see that putt when I turn my head, that's a big deal. All right, so I'm left eye dominant, left eye putting, and so if you're just the other way around and be right eye dominant, right, and still being a lefty putter, that would be different, and obviously, and then that would be like a left eye dominant right-handed putter. So you're looking through this your forward eye to see the line. Now, what I normally, when we talk about eye dominance, what I really look at is, there's that test on how to do the eye dominance, right? You open up, and I like to look at a clock, and you put both eyes open, and you find it, and then you close one eye, and you go, okay, I can still see through there, and the other one you can't, right? So actually, I'm a right eye dominant. Sorry, not left eye. I'm right eye. So I'm just the opposite. So we can talk about this. And whatever you see, that's your dominant eye. Now, if your eye is forward, right, Mike, right eye, lefty, left eye, righty, then what I tell people to do is look at the ball and then look to the cup. Then come back, look at the ball, look to the cup. However, if they're on the back eye, what I tell them to do is look at the cup and then look back to the ball the other way around, because what happens is that you miss it going the other way. That's what as far as being able to find the cup. Okay. That's what eye dominance does for me. Now, is it a cure all end all to know all that? No, not really. But when you put that in effect with the right putter and all these different things, then yeah, it can certainly play a part. So in this particular case, is a zero offset putter better? Uh, okay, Ray. There's more going on with this one than just eye dominance. There could be ball placement, whether you put it way forward in your stance or way back in your stance, or even in the middle. It could be if you're releasing a little bit and it can also be the weight of the putter. There's all these different parameters that get involved in dealing with that. Okay. Now, what I think you're asking me is if I have it all the way forward and I have zero and I come to square, does it work? Yeah, to an extent, but why have it all the way forward? I'm sorry. Uh, why have it all the way forward? Uh, if you're look down at the ball, and if you have the ball in the middle of your stance and you go to look to your putting side of it like this, and you should still be you'll see the ball and you can track the line. I wouldn't put it in the front of my stance. All right, so explain offset and the different types of putter hosels. All right, so as Ray was talking about a zero offset. Okay, a zero offset means that the shaft goes straight into the club, and it's basically a straight line. There's no tilting, and it's right at the very end. You tend to see those on center shafted heads, or even some of the older heel mounted, think BB80 or the 8802s, the most malleted center shafted clubs, that kind of stuff. They just go straight in and away you go. Then there is plumber's necks. And well, let's go back. And then you have offsets. Offsets are typically measured in shaft dimensions, whether it's a quarter shaft, half shaft, three-quarter shaft, full shaft offsets. All right. And that's that whole putter shaft offset going towards hanging out over the face. Now, how do you get there? Well, in a lot of cases, for the smaller ones, it is double bends, and meaning that it'll go out. Well, it comes up and it goes over and then it curves back. That would be a double bend. There are also triple bends, which will tilt and give you loft and then go out and give some offset and then come back. There's those. And those are typically found again in mallets. However, hosel-less putters will also have something along that lines. Then you get into hosels, and there's basically two styles, but there's three descriptions. One is the plumber's neck. It goes straight up and it goes straight over, and the club goes out. And those are unlike the Anser styles, right? You see that a lot. You might even see it in a mallet putter for some reason. There are some out there that do it, and they probably work very well. For me, from a cosmetic application, I don't think it looks right. That just could be what I'm used to seeing as well. Then you have what's called I would call it there's a Z or a Z neck, which is real popular in Odyssey, and then there's a neck that goes up and it just basically curves. It's a real gentle curve taking place of the actual would be a double bend in the putter. And those are real gentle, and you'll see those on heel mounted bladed style putters. Right now, the Z neck you'll find on mallets, because it's what takes a face balance mallet and gives it a little bit of open toe hang, and that's where they go. Woo-wee. So hopefully that helped you out, Ray. All right, Mike, he's in Buffalo. He started his season 82, 81. Well, look at that. It's already improvement by one stroke. Good job. Matt saying no rounds for the week. Matt, I was I tempted fate, and it was supposed to rain Sunday, and it was done raining here. The pavement was just drying up, and I said, well, I'll give it a shot. I literally got 3/4 of the way to Crown Hill, and it started coming down. I just found the nearest road, and I just spun it around and came back, which turned out to be a good thing. All right. Questions: between fittings and lessons, which one will lower your score faster? Ooh, always wanted to do like that. I will answer it in two ways. One, if you're just getting started in the way of golf, I would recommend a lesson. Learning the lesson to get the basics, to understand what makes what work, right? When you were playing baseball or basketball or football, you always had to start out somewhere, and somebody taught you some of the basics before you got into the, high techniques, different types of equipment, that kind of stuff. And so for a beginning golfer, I would suggest a lesson or two or three, and then go out and have some fun. Then after you've been out there for a while, let's say it all depends on your number of rounds. If you got a gob number of rounds, just a total number of rounds in a short amount of time, then it's time for a fitting. When you know that uh, you're developing these habits, and it could be based on your equipment, or you're doing something all the time and nothing that you can do stops it, and it's time for a fitting in order to get the right equipment underneath there. And then by those two combined, I think then that you get to your end goal. Peter, how are you, sir? Have you had a chance to fit or even hit the? No, I have not. Uh, that particular shaft has not made it up into here. I've heard whispers of it. In fact, I've dealt with those the pink shafts that were in this category, right? The and a customer of ours bought one for him, and he liked it so much he got one for his wife, and so we shafted those up. David Jones had a great vacation. Shot a 91 on Friday. Should have been in the 80s. Had three bad holes. Well, good. I'm glad to see some improvements, man. Good job. Charlie, fighting COVID. Oh, my goodness. Well, here's to you. Get better, and knock that thing out. All right. Brandon, what do you say? Brendan, sorry. I've been using the Try Hot 2 for some time, and now Jim, and struggling with distance control with it. I'm finding it too heavy. Back to the old number 7 for more answer style putters for me. Uh, so Brandon, I don't know where you would find one over there, but a in some cases, so those putters, those tryout putters, come with weights in them. And if you like the looks and you like the feel and you like what you're doing, you're just struggling with control and you think it's too heavy, there's a weight kit out there, and you can replace those two weights that are right behind the face, make it a hair lighter, and you may get exactly where you want to be. I would go with that if you like it. Again, the number 7 is not a bad putter. It's their number one style out there. But I mean, the Try Hot's a really nice putter, as well, as far as not doing the twisting on offsets. So if you've got a connection with somebody that does a lot of putters, they very well may have another set of weights. Now, I know that you can order a weight kit, and it will come with something lighter and something heavier if you're interested in that. Brett, what do you say, sir? Sunny Susanville, California. All right. What is a good graphite iron shaft with a weight and bend profile to a TT Elevate 95 stiff flex? Huh. Well, let's see. Let me think about that. 95 or is it 95 mph? Let me think. Well, when you start getting up into the 95 and that, so the Elevate's got a little bit of a more friendly tip section than, that's what makes it a good shaft. I like the Acra in a very similar weight, in that they have a 90 grammer. You can use that one. The KBS TGI is a little too stiff, but they have a PGI. Now, I've not hit it yet, but in all recommendations, it should be everything that they said it was to be. It's a softer version, and if that was the case, they're 90 gram now. I'm going to tell you right off the bat, their 90 grams is going to be a little stiffer as far as if you're going to measure it, but the performance should be the same. And then as far as there's one more that just it catches my attention. Oh, um, check out the recoil dart. The recoil dart would be another one. So you got something to choose from. All right. Willard, hope all is well. Same to you, sir. Where would you think a very good 18-year-old with extra stiff iron shafts would be at on wedges? Uh, well, wedge shafts by nature are stiff. Okay, they're made to be that way, and they're made. It just depends on what he's using the wedges for. Right? If we're talking wedges like actual wedges, like sand wedges, lob wedges, not pitching wedge and gap wedge, then the wedge shafts that they have out there are pretty substantial. Now, if he's using some heavier stuff, what you might be looking at is, let's just say he's into a 120 X flex iron shaft. You may want to consider like Modus has a 130 gram wedge shaft. You might want to go just a hair higher in weight, and I would look at the slightly higher weight, and that's probably going to help them. And go, I would do that. The club doctor, evening. Thank you for staying up so late, sir. There he is. How you doing, buddy? I did the pork butt. It was, I have to say, it was in high competition with what you brought, man. All right. Travis K, checking in from Jersey. I have not seen it. There has been all kinds of YouTube stuff, but uh, apparently me and Titleist just don't see eye to eye. The Titleist rep doesn't even come this way because we're in such a rural area. Again, as I describe it, we go find the banjo music and go another 20 miles, and that's where we're at. They just don't come this way. All right. In fact, the last, well, I got Strixon to come because I saw him at another golf course and told him I wanted to talk to him, and they actually showed up, which was unique. And Mizuno showed up because he was the old Strixon rep and was moving to Mizuno, so that's how I got them. Outside of that, they either found me or I found them. All righty. Lombard's in the house. Well done, sir. There's Robin talking to Charlie. And then Robin talking to Brennan, Robin talking to Brett, Robin talking to Willard. Look at all this happening. Here we go. Terry Livingston, hello, sir. How are you? I was wondering if you believe that a 2.7 rule as a club fitter, that somebody with a 100-mile-an-hour should hit the 270. Actually, I believe in the 2.5 rule. 2.5, 2.5 yards per mile per hour and that's carry. All right, not ending, that's carry. Now, the reason why I like 2.5 is that's what it was before the age of all the AI faces and super whammy dyne tech. But 2.5 tends to work a lot better because 2.7 might be a thing if you hit it perfect, right? 2.5 is probably an above average strike, and that's where I go with it. And then if you wanted to carry it one more thing, it's 2.25 for a 5-iron. All right, Patrick. You've been busy, man. I see you've been like winning everything you look at. You've just been doing all kinds of stuff out there. Well done for you. Uh, too many pirates. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I understand what you're talking about there, man. Uh, every time I know somebody's doing that, I always the Dave Moore did an article on it. He's the one that did was it Dave? No, Dave Barry. Look up Dave Barry and look up the article he writes. It's just too funny. But hopefully everything comes out okay. All right. Seymour's back. All right. Got a question. Thinking about building a driving iron using a Callaway driving iron head only, but I don't know what shaft I should use, also what flex and what material, and there's something else. So again, here's one of those depends things, right? I think the popular choice would be to put a hybrid shaft in it, but I would let the hybrid shaft be just a little bit softer than normal. However, there are people out there actually manufacturing driving iron shafts. Graphite Design is one of them. They're making a graphite iron, a graphite driving iron shaft. And they have different properties, right? Because the head is different. You go from something that's monstrously like this to a small head, a smaller head, and so you need different characteristics into the shaft. I believe even Acra is doing something along that lines as well. So you keep that in mind. Uh, but if it's an experiment and you're looking at it, there's nothing wrong with either one. I would go with graphite in either way. A graphite iron shaft that you like very much, or a hybrid shaft to make it a little softer. All right, here we go. I told you. Managed to win a champ flight in the club championship. Has been playing well lately. Wasn't feeling the swing. There you go, right? That's what we were just talking about in the beginning. Stance, alignment, grip, right? You get a lot of those mastered, and the rest of it just kind of tends to follow suit. But I did see where you posted that, so congratulations to Patrick on winning a club championship. Good for him. Played a shamble with my dad south of Columbus Saturday. All right. Now I'm a 3 hour in LaGuardia heading home to Naples. Oh my goodness gracious. That's no good. And you left Columbus to go to LaGuardia to go down to Naples. Wow. Okay. I guess that's one way of getting there. And I've been watching the news on that one, and that there's delays and all that stuff. Well, when I left Baltimore, uh, I got delayed four times to the point that we calculated it from the time I actually left to the time I actually got home. I could have driven it. So there's always that. And yeah, where did you play? Was it? It wasn't that. Was it Triple Eagle or whatever they call that? Double Eagle? I don't know. RSG, bonjour, Jim and Robin. Got to see the senior tour in town on Sunday. Patrick and Els can still drive at 300 yards, 20 yards behind. Yeah, isn't that something else? They were always talking about Patrick. He put in the time, he put in the effort, and all of it's paying off, right? It's all paying off, and good for him. And you're seeing Ernie out there too, right? And it couldn't be any more. Well, they're different swings. Ernie is just that very fluid Tai Chi on golf kind of swing. And Patrick, he's always been he's you give it a good effort and let's see where it goes. But I tell you what, not only is he driving it far, but that man can putt. I watched him drop some pretty decent putts from a distance. So, I mean, good for them. And Mrs. McGough, do you hear your dog? Stu, hey bud, could you explain why fairway wood shafts are heavier than driver shafts and when they are cut from the same blank shaft? And what weight would a 10 size 65 be at 48-inch blank shaft? Okay, so a couple of things. They're not the same blank shaft. All right, the one's heavier than the other for a reason, and it's because you leave a driver shaft and you go to a fairway wood shaft that's much smaller and it's also heavier. So because it's shorter, the actual length, because you go from say, you know, 45 and a half inches down to 43, you need that extra weight so it transmits a similar feel. then you need a different kind of shaft because the head itself has different properties from MOI, distance from center, all these different things that go on in club design. And then the shaft has to follow that. The idea of trimming a shaft an inch and throwing it in there is very popular and it's a fail safe. However, chances are there's better options to do that. However, a 10 size 65 shaft. Now, to answer this other one, Stu, is that some manufacturers, when they make a shaft and they say 65 grams, that's a close guess. Okay. And in some cases, it's the raw shaft is 65 and you cut it down and it's somewhat less. In some cases, they're much heavier. That could say 65 might be 68, 69 grams. And then when you cut it down, you really truly have 65 grams. Everybody's a little different. And that's also true in iron shafts. All right. So in this particular instance, if it's the true Tennessee blue, I'm going to say it's probably heavier at 48 inches. And if you're looking at another, you cut two or three, it's like a gram. So it's probably 68 to 70 grams, I'm going to say, because it's like a gram an inch once you go up. Michael, what do you say, sir? Thank you for staying up this late and watching us. There's Ben. Loving the new clubs. The putter is dynamite. Very good. Love the 3 hybrid. Well, geez, we're hitting it out of the park. And now understand why you said take the 3 wood out. The hybrid is hot. Now, Ben can hit it. Now, don't kid yourself. Ben is killing it. And what we were doing with the putter is, if I recall correctly, is we made this thing. We made the thing very long, so he didn't have to bend over as much, and he's been able to see it. So good for him. All right, utility club. Utility club came apart 2 days before new one came. Oh, all righty. Before ours. Firefox. Firefox. Man, you weren't too far from us, man. If I know what you're talking about. All right. P Funkno, how's my PAT going? I've gotten it down to where I need to really concentrate on I need to get let me speak English again. I need to get at least 1 or 2 more strokes off on a consistent basis, and I think I'll be there. And what happens is that uh, I will try and get more out of my swing, and I don't know that until it's too late. But I am getting to the point where I'm getting pretty confident on an easier course, to the point we were talking about Rum Point and the other ones. We shot nearly, well, we shot a 90 on that War Admiral just because we were sucking bad. But then we turned around and shot an 83 on the next one from a very similar distance. And then Bob and I were 80, 81 on the next one. And that's without any, local knowledge. So I think we're getting close. I think we're getting really, really close. Yes, we were. That's it. Right next to the Players Club. Okay. Okay, very good. It does, right? It's very nice. That is a very mountainous area, and once you leave there, it's all downhill, and you're out of Maryland pretty quick, and you're into 70-mile-an-hour running. So not too bad. I will say on the way out, we hit a deer, and there was 3 of them going across the road, and as I was coming around a bend, and there they are. I was like, oh, here we go. Don't do this. And the 2 deer it was a line of 3, and the first 2 deer scattered, and the last one wasn't paying attention. And so I kind of drove through the hole that they created, and I've got a dent on the flare from my truck. and we hear dunk, and I thought, man, I'm going to have blood and deer hair all the way down my truck, and that did not happen. However, the basil that's around the light, I think the bumper moved ever so slightly, but from a cosmetic point of view, it's not bad. All right. No, no, I would not. No, I would not. Oh, there's Mrs. McGolf talking to our Miss Penny. There you go. Dambunga. Or Dave Bangmunga. I'll get it right one day. Hope you're both well. Yes, picked up a Rogue ST LS3 wood with a tensile white 75, soon to be topping a lot of the turf. Always hit my old Rogue. Oh, with the CZ3 wood and even flow 75 really well off the turf. Do you think replacing the tensile white with another shaft is a good idea? The even flow blue and the Tennessee white, I'm going to say is probably a little more aggressive and a little bit more stiff than say the even flow blue. Although the blue's pretty stiff to be sure, but the Tennessee is there a little bit more. You know, I might look at is check out the length of them first, and before you change them out, and let's see, and then check out and just bring out your Rogue and set it down and see if ball placement's not in the same spot. I'd do those first before we go start changing anything, and then if you're really seeing that you're really killing the Rogue versus the other one, then yes, I would switch out. Finally broke par by a stroke. Nicely done, Dennis. Nicely done. Went to a size more SB2. Winner so far. Only time will tell. What's your thoughts on more golf irons, which are way too expensive for me? I don't know. I like my thoughts on irons as far as having them is I I I like only having in the bag what you're going to use. You know, it used to be that 3 through the pitch and wedge was a standard set. Okay, we know that's dead. 4 through the gap wedge is what they try to sell us on. Yes, they do. However, 5 through the gap wedge is probably more standard. Okay, and as these clubs get longer, or as far as the clubs get stronger, even less of the taller irons are going to start to be needed. And like, for instance, I have the Rogue Pros in my bag, and I only carry up to the 6. And it's because that the way most of the courses I play, the distance I play to, I'm probably rarely ever, if any, will ever need a 5, based on how far I hit my 6. Now, I do carry 3 hybrids, and the lower hybrid, if I choke down, say a half an inch to 3/4 of an inch, I can get that same distance of a 5 without working as hard. And so having the right irons in your bag is always the better way to go. Can you compare the Oban CT iron shaft to others and who may be very, oh my. Oban's a different animal altogether, Sean. But there's hmm. You know what? Another one that might be out there is that again, the Acra constant weights, right? They have some constant weight irons out there. I think would work very, very well. Uh, the the CTs, I got to remember what the CTs do. I don't think it's counterbalance, but if you're looking for something that's board like, and Oban's not necessarily like, well, uh, they're a very well constructed shaft to be sure. The thing is that the difference in their profiles. This LA golf thing that I've been doing is very much, to me, would be a counterbalance kind of setup. but it is brutally stiff. And you had better bring it around. Otherwise, you're not going to like it very much. I would think along the lines of, again, at a different one, you've got we used to have red ties. Um, who made that? The Ozics. Look at the Ozics and see what they've got. Oh, make field putters our rock star. I'm glad to see it's working, man. Good job. Danny, what's going on? Getting ready to order Rogue ST Max irons with graphite shafts. First time using graphite. Should I get graphite in the wedges also? I would say yes. All right, because if you're going to go with, depends on the graphite shaft now. Well, but in any case, the graphite shafts, if you're staying in the Callaway lineup, their go-to in wedges is the uh, Catalyst. It's the Catalyst shaft, and it's about an 80 grammer, 80 to 85 grams, and it would be just in line with most of what you can get in a Max. So yeah, I would do that. Oh, I'm saying hi, Bob. Justin Waring, what do you say, sir? How you doing? How's you and your buddy doing? You guys tearing it up? Hey, just want to see your channel inspiring me to make my first set of clubs. Ooh, Dynapowers. Dude, 1968, man, you were going serious old school. Serious old school. Our buddy from Switzerland who's not on here right now, he had some, I think it was called Jonathan letters or Patrick letters from Scotland. Man, those are some nice irons as well in that same era. Those are what you call some butter knives, brother. Hopefully they turn out well and enjoy having some fun. They do not exist. Now that I've said that, they do not exist. Uh, try Apollo. They'd be the only people left that may or may not do that. All righty. Sir Barack. All right, with the amount of swings that Patrick takes, I'm surprised that he hasn't been warned for slow play. He must drive the guys who play fast nuts. He gets into the groove, doesn't he? I swear. All right, Nick, what do you say, man? Do you find that once a player fits into an iron, that other clubs in the same multiplayer fact also fit them? Above 700, they tend to go too high for me, but below 600, they are hard to control. Yeah, there's certain categories that you can get into for sure. Like player's distance or the game improvers or something along that lines. And then you just have to figure. Although what will trip them off, Nick, is that though you're in the same category, the looks are different, right? Because the Strixons will look different than the Mizunos, then different the Callaways, then different the Titleist, and so on. And when they get down there, once you're dialed in, it normally becomes a choice of cosmetics. All righty. Regards from Germany. Nice. Thank you. Which machine in your workshop could not find you? Oh, could not be without. Oh, wow. Huh. Well, I would say for me, it's a shaft puller. Regardless of what kind it is, a shaft puller is, particularly if you're going to do a lot of this type of work, you can always hand sand and hand cut and do all that other stuff. But pulling a shaft, particularly a graphite, you need a shaft puller. And if you've got some of those that are stubborn, that can be like older taper tip models. But I would say a shaft puller. Now, number one and first and foremost, the number one thing is a vise, right? So you can set and work on your stuff. That would be something that you could always work with. But if you're going to go a little more advanced, then I would say a shaft puller. I laughed out loud at hope everything comes out okay. Had to, yeah, I know. I figured you might get a little giggle of that, but you want to be a little closer to the restroom. Oh, Nick, Robin, okay. The shamble scoring is too confusing for my brain. I had to use like 3 drives from each player, 4-man teams. My dad kept score like scrambled better. Okay. Hey, look, Apollo, look at that. I was right. Not bad. All righty. I appreciate the response, Jimmy Problem. We'll absolutely love the Dyna Powers. All right. And they do. They teach you, they turn you into a ball striker, brother. They certainly do. All right. And we got to 6:35 and we got to the end. Guys and gals, thank you very much. Remember to like and subscribe. And tomorrow I am releasing a video, and it is on a review of these guys. All right, we're reviewing the irons. And we are starting to get up into silly season, so hopefully we have some news for you next Monday. And as always, as soon as I get to the, I think, you know what? I forgot to put that on there. Oh, how about that? Let's put that in there. And as always, let's see your scores. Go low.